Oh, hello everyone. Welcome again. Actually, it's my pleasure to welcome you all. Thank you for the earthquake victims in Syria and Turkey. Uh, I especially would like to thank you also PMI family, all PMI family, PMI UK, to make this conference happen. Um, my name is Artur Laksoy. I'm volunteer in PMI Turkey and will lead and will be with you in first 6 hours. Today, as you know, we are gathered together for this conference support the victims of Turkey Syria earthquake disaster. The conference will last 24 hours and we are in the first one. So I hope you are all excited as I am for what's in store over the next hours. We are thrilled to have attendees from all over the world.
I think the voice is not coming. Or okay. Uh,
Okay, it looks like we have lost our host. My apologies. I'm Ruth Hunter. I'm one of the PMI admins here, so I shall jump in here then and get us going on our panel. My sincerest apologies for that. And we will get your host back on screen as soon as we can. Okay, so as was mentioned, we have a period of time here to work through you folks and your questions, and your host is back. So I shall disappear and hand you over. Good luck, folks.
First misconnection, weak internet problem from me, so forgive me, please. As you know, the conference will last 24 hours. Maybe we will have that kind of problems, but we're just waiting your understanding. So I was saying that I hope you're all excited as I am for what's in store for over the next hours. We are thrilled to have attendees from all over the world joining us today, from Japan to Turkey, and from Turkey to the United States. And we all believe in that we can, together we can. I would like to remind you about donation as well. All funds raised during the event will be donated to charities to support victims of the recent earthquake in Syria and Turkey. You will see a QR code on your screen continuously during the conference, which is prepared to access donation link. So we have an exciting lineup of speakers and events planned for you. As we all here and ready, we may continue with the first panel. So in the first panel, we are hosting four valuable panelists from Turkey Mosaic Foundation, Turkey Psychosocial Association, World Human Relief, and Young Lives Foundation. In order to start, please let me introduce you the host of the first panel session, Mr. Mohammed Khalifa. Welcome, Mohammed Khalifa.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm good. Thank you very much.
It is perfect to see you all smiling today, vibrant morning. So I am giving you the stage to host the first panel, and I wish you all the good conference.
Thank you very much. Okay, so it's my great pleasure to be with you today. Again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to PM for the World Group panel on the disaster recovery. My name is Muhammad Khalifa, and it's my pleasure and honor to host the first panel for today. As we all know, disasters can strike at any time and in any place, and they can have uh, devastating consequences, whether it's natural disaster like the earthquake or human-made disaster like terrorist attack. It's important to have a plan in a place to respond and recover quickly. That's why we are here today, to discuss best practices and strategies for disaster recovery. Uh, and we have also the disaster relief. We have a fantastic panel of experts with us today who will bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. They will sharing their insights on everything from the risk management, from how the people get out from this disaster or relief from the earthquake problems and bad psychology, to the business continuity, to emergency response. But before we dive into the discussion, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the panelists. Each of them will bring a unique perspective and a skill set to the panel. And I'm confident that we will all benefit from their experts. Today we have uh, Gökhan Malkoç, Arsen Ügon, Opataba Karadon, and Chadoshuz Bakan. I hope that I pronounced them well. And now we can start with Gökhan Malkoç. Would you like to start by telling us a bit about yourself and your experience in the disaster recovery? And the mic is yours.
All right. I mean, depending on where you are right now, I greet you with my warmest welcome. And I'm talking from Istanbul, Turkey. And good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I'm a professor in the psychology department at Medipol University, but I'm the member of the Turkish Psychological Association, and I am the one of the member of the observing team going to the earthquake region after the earthquakes. So today I will be talking about the observation that we made in the region, and also I'm going to be presenting a psychosocial intervention project that we created for the people in the region.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we can go to Ersin Ögan. How about you? Can you give us a brief introduction?
Thank you, Muhammad. I'm Ersin Uygun. I'm associate professor of psychiatry and working in Istanbul, like Gökhan Hoca. I'm working in Istanbul Bilgi University, Trauma and Disaster Mental Health Master Program. From the first day I am on the field, first day of the earthquake, I moved to Antakya, and at the beginning I participated in aid works. Then we started as Trauma and Disaster Mental Health Research Association. We started for psychosocial support. We organized the field, and today I want to give some information about that. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you very much. And now we go to Oya Tapakaradon. Please
Hello.
tell us about yourself. Okay.
Yes, hi. And thank you, PMI, for organizing this event at such a critical time for Turkey, and also inviting us to talk about our work at Turkey Mosaic Foundation. My name is Oya Taba, and I'm a co-founder and trustee of Turkey Mosaic Foundation. We're based here in London. And Turkey Mosaic Foundation is a grant-giving charity for especially civil society organizations in Turkey, and we're entirely volunteer-run. And I'm going to talk about our work around the relief and also about our foundation.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we go to Chadoshuz Bakan.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Mohammed. It's Çağdaş Özbakan. I'm also joining the session from Istanbul. First of all, I'm very honored to take part in this wonderful event, and I greet everyone who's here with us today. I'm the director of project development and international relations at Genç Vakfı Young Lives Foundation, which was founded in 2008 with the aim of supporting children and adolescents aged 11 to 18 with a holistic approach, including all actors around these children. And we have had also projects in the affected region until the 5th of February. So we were already in the field at the time, and by the 6th, we diverged all our actions into the emergency relief, earthquake response, and now the things are developing in different ways. Also for the for this particular group, which is like everyone else, which is affected from the earthquake, but they have their own demands and needs, which I'll talk about in my talk.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank you all for joining us today. And for sure, me and others around the globe, we are looking forward to a productive and informative discussion. Let me back to Professor Gökhan Malkoç. And can you please tell us about the DEPSDA, or Earthquake Psychological Solidarity Network project?
All right. My presentation is on the screen now. Oh, yeah. All right. So use the time in a good way. I'm going to be start actually to my presentation now. Well, as you know, on February 6th, two large earthquakes of magnitude 7.8 and 7.5 occurred 9 hours apart on a different fault lines in the southern region of Turkey and Syria. The earthquake actually directly affected 11 provinces, and the physical, social, and psychological devastation is kind of hard to describe in words when we actually visited there. The numbers is just to give you kind of idea what exactly happened there in terms of the damages. These are the official numbers, like more than 50,000 people lost their lives, and about 7,000 of them are foreign national. More than 100,000 people actually injured, and more than 500,000 people were evacuated from the region. But we know that there are millions of people actually left the region by their resources and immigrated to other cities in Turkey. And some of them actually immigrated to abroad. So the numbers actually showing that the damages is really big there. And by the way, the number of the damaged buildings are changing every day, and demolitions of the buildings and removal of the rubbles are still ongoing in the region. I'm sorry. Well, this is a standard thing after the disasters, any disasters. Turkish Psychological Association actually sent the observing team to the field to get the picture of the field, so that based on the data that the observing team collected, the model for a new model is suggested for the psychosocial intervention program. And therefore, between February 10 and 17, an observing team of 6 experts visited the 20 different living areas, and the observing team had interviews with people from the public institution, local governments, and NGOs, and they also talked with the earthquake victims in the region. And I was one of the member of the teams, and based on our observation, there is an urgent need for psychosocial support for people from all provinces and the districts affected by the earthquake. These are the places that we actually had a visit, and this is the area that we basically collected our data for our psychosocial support model. And what we observe basically that, there are people there that needed of psychosocial intervention, like people rescued from under the rubble, people who lost their relatives and the homes, okay? And there are, as I said earlier, there are people actually have moved from the earthquake region to other cities. And by the way, and as soon after like 4 days, Turkish Psychological Association actually set up some hotline, and they basically provided psychosocial support through the online to the victims of the earthquakes. And there are vulnerable groups there, such as children, adolescents, elderly, women, disabled individuals, people with special Medicare, and refugees. These are the special groups that basically we should put our attention. And also there are employees there. And, these are also the victims of the earthquake. So they also need some kind of support. And one of the things that I greatly admire to the search and rescue teams, they are doing a fantastic job, and they also actually need some psychosocial support. Of course, after the earthquakes, many volunteers actually went to the regions, and after they come back from the region, they also need some kind of psychosocial support. After we visited the field, we come up with a model for the psychosocial intervention program. The area is big, and therefore we wanted to actually have some special groups, and we addressed this group for the psychosocial support intervention program. And one of them is for example, children. They will live in the tent and the container city for a long time. And approximately, I think that the time is going to be somewhat like 2 and 2.5 years until the residential area is built. So they have to bring back to the daily routine, and therefore there will be varieties of the activities to get the children back to their original routine. So these daily routine implementations of the activities should organize according to age group. It's kind of important that there should be playgrounds and the study areas for the children in the tent or container cities. Education must go on, so educational activities should be provided once again, depending on the age. There are some, schools are there and the education is going to start. But for the children living in the tent and the container cities, there should be many programs supporting their educational needs. For the adolescent, kind of important to create a routine for the educational activities. Of course, they need some kind of psychological support, and this should be given them. But it's kind of important because these kids are preparing for the exams to go to high school or universities. So therefore, it's kind of important to deliver materials, technological equipment, and the exam prep books to those people because besides the earthquakes, anxiety coming from the earthquakes, they also have some kind of anxieties from these processes. In the tent and the container cities, there are also need some programs and some special areas for the adolescents' social interactions and sharing their feelings. It's a kind of important for rehabilitation because being social and having some kind of interaction with others can also have some impact on the rehabilitation. The other thing is that we are suggesting that some of them actually should have some kind of responsibilities in the tent and the container city, like taking part of the organization of education or some social activities, something like that. Women is another special group that we should address in terms of psychosocial support. Once again, in tent and the container cities, usually women are intensely involved in the work of feeding and caring for their families. Therefore, it's crucial to give women a kind of individual space and the time, allowing them to emerge in the role of permanent caregivers. And also providing some spaces and the time to support the children together and socialize among themselves is one thing that women can have time for their own daily chores and the socialization. And it is also very important for women to have their needs met so that they can enable them to return to their routines. By the way, the second and third times when we visit the field, one of the concerns of the women are like having some tools like kitchen and some kind of tools so that they can actually come back to their original routines. Person with disabilities and individuals with special medical needs, that's another group. So rapid assessment of the needs of the disabled individuals, creation of appropriate living spaces in tent and the container city is kind of important. So, excuse me. It's also very critical to determine the needs of individuals with special medical needs. And some people actually having chronic diseases, or in a acute treatment processes like some illnesses, cancer, etc. They should be provided services, and because most of the health institutions are gone there, and therefore in the tent and the container cities, their medical needs has to be provided, and for their health. So elderly people, by the way, there are many elderly peoples there who lost almost everyone in their families, and therefore it's very important to take care of their health, psychological well-being, physical well-being, and they need some kind of proper housing, and once again, being involved in social gathering is kind of important for the elderly people as well. Refugees are another group that we are basically pay attention, because refugees are exposed to second post-war social trauma by the earthquakes. And there are some conflict between the local people and the refugees before the disasters. Now the tension actually increased over sharing the limited disaster resources, and therefore and there is an additional hard situation for the refugees, and especially for their security, and the housing has been emerged even more than before. There are personnel there, working in the region, and then there are some volunteers participating in disaster works and the groups. These people also actually needs to be paid attention, and psychosocial support services must cover these employees and the volunteers in the field. Okay, let me move on. Okay, now I'm going to be starting. I'm going to start talking about the model that we generated after we observed the field. So after we finish our trip, we prepared the report, and we created and suggested DEPSTA, Earthquake Psychosocial Solidarity Network project. And this project, confirmed by the 7 branches of Turkish Psychological Association, including the trauma groups in Ankara. Okay, and DEPSTA is a 1-year project now, but in my opinion, it should be extended according to financial resources, because psychological effects and the trauma are huge in that region. So we are planning open 8 centers in 8 cities. We want to actually employ 13 staffs, and we want to actually send 4,000 volunteers into the region, and all of the volunteers are mainly psychologists. This is the volunteer project executives. So we have the executive coordinator, and then with 3 assistant coordinators. So these guys are the member of the Turkish Psychological Association, and I'm the executive coordinator. And we have the Çiğdem Yumbul, Zeynep Tüzün, and Zeynep Şeker, and they are the coordinator. So these guys, we are basically volunteer, and we are not getting any benefit or any other things financially from the project. But we have the professionals. We have 1 field coordinator, and one deputy field coordinator. We're going to be employ finance manager, logistic manager, and reporting manager. And as I said earlier, we have the 8 psychosocial centers, and we are going to be hire 8 psychologists who are expert in trauma in this for the center. And as I said, we have the 8 centers, and these are the 8 centers that are going to be built in these cities. And specifically, each center actually covers specific areas, including the rural area. So we are planning, after resetting the centers, we are planning to send some mobile units to the rural area for the psychosocial support program for the people. All right. Okay, our center is going to be look like this. Not, this is the model. We are establishing some of them now, and Adıyaman, Malatya, Elbistan is already on the way, and the other is actually coming. So we have the several units here. We have some like 4 containers. This is the containers where our volunteers and professional staff actually stay. We have the 2 containers with 4 rooms for the psychological counseling. Okay, so we have one area here, and the top one. This is the area for the children, so that we can actually arrange many activities for the children. There are also some study areas there, so that the teenagers and young people and the children can actually do their educational activities. We also have the specific area for the adults, so we can actually implement many different kind of programs there. And for every center actually gets the volunteers. The group of the volunteers actually have a team leader, assistant team leader, child and adolescent specialist, volunteer psychologist, administrative coordinator, which is, we think that we can get the our 4th-year students so that they can do some logistics and reporting work there. We also have the kind of specialist doing some psychosocial support for the employee in the region. By the way, I went to field like 2 times, and I'm going this weekend as well. So one thing that I actually observe in the field, that after some point, we have to actually change our model a little bit. We have to actually employ more psychologists or mental health professionals, because the effect of the trauma is big. So then we have to actually go individual work there, and it should be like continuous, and follow the people over sometimes to help them. So therefore, after 6 months, we're going to be increasing the number of our staff, somewhat around like 40 people. So every center should have like a 4 or 5 psychologists or mental health professions working in that tent or container cities. Okay, that's what I can say about our project. And we have just started, and our members in the psychological Turkish Psychological Association, as I said, already set the hotline, and they are providing the psychosocial support for the people who immigrated from the region, and also some of the volunteers, and they are going the field for every week and providing the psychosocial support for the people there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for this very informative presentation. And we can see there are a lot of efforts really on the ground. And this effort, yes, it needs a lot of help, a lot of support from everyone. This is something is very serious, and your organization, they do a great job. Thank you very much. And now we can move to Mr. Ersin Ugen, who will give us more insight about their activities there, especially that he said that we are working there on ground, and we try to help in Antakya and others. So just the floor is yours now.
Thank you a lot, Muhammad. Yeah. So, at the first day we moved to field, and after 8 works, we start to need assessment studies on the field as TARDE. TARDE means Trauma and Disaster Mental Health Research Association. The need assessment, we firstly created a project build, and I want to give some information about this project. And as you know, there is many cities affected from that earthquake, but mainly the Marash and Hatay affected more than other cities. And the earthquake really destroyed almost all houses and buildings in that cities. Because of that, we firstly moved to Hatay. At the first, we moved as 3 experts. Then other experts came from Tarde, and we assess all field. And the first step was for us Hatay. Hatay, in the center, there was really damaged building, a lot. And many people was trying just to be stable. At the beginning, we start just to with works as psychological first aid and psychoeducations. And we bought some containers, and we planned to put them in container city, because there was planning of container cities in Hatay, and we connect with municipalities and other authorities, and we plan to be in container cities, because the people who lost their houses collecting now in shelter city, then they will move step by step to container cities. And we bought some container and put them in that container cities. But there is many villages on the field. The city center has destroyed, but the villages are still alive, and the people living in the villages, they don't move. So to go to the cities, villages, and to work there, we plan to build a caravan. So that's mobile team, and we can send our volunteers and our workers to all villages. That was important step for us, to be mobile on the field. And of course, all workers and volunteers staying in shelters or containers on the field. We found a house a bit far from the city center and not damaged. So we plan to stay at the weekends and to rest in that house. So the first step was in Defne and Samandağ. Defne and Samandağ, most affected city centers in Hatay. Then in Antakya, Iskenderun, and all other cities. We send our containers, and that's, I think, nice picture, because our volunteers was cleaning the containers. And that is our container in Hatay. That's a center, logistic center of us. So all workers and volunteers coming every night and stay in that containers on the field. And we are planning other day what will we do and which centers will be supported by us. We are discussing all that informations. What is our aim? I'm moving fast. I will return to that slides. The other step is we plan to move to Gaziantep, Islahiye and Nurdağ, that two cities affected more than others. So we target that two cities, and we send containers and caravan mobile for fund to Gaziantep as well. And we are collaborating with UNICEF in Gaziantep. Of course, we will support with our logistics in Hatay. We will try to support Gaziantep either. Then we are planning to move to Adıyaman and Maraş with the same organizations. Of course, we didn't completely working in other cities, Adıyaman, Maraş, or Malatya, but we are planning to take that system, to take that organization to other cities as well. Of course, it depends on resources, because we don't have enough resources to contain other cities, but we are planning to do that. The other, because we have connections in other cities as well, but of course depend on resources. So we are collaborating with Turkish Psychological Association, Istanbul branch, as Professor Gökhan Malkoç has told about DEPSDA. We are collaborating with other organizations on the field. And of course, there are many organizations we are collaborating with them. Generally, for logistics, we are trying to take support of that organizations. What is our target groups? We can say all affected persons in the region, people who experienced the earthquake, and we are trying to support them psychologically and socially. Of course, they are our general target group, but we are trying to support many vulnerable or special group under that big umbrella. So we are looking to disabled people and refugees and I can say in all vulnerable groups, but we are working with health workers and aid workers as well, because we moved to field very fastly, and at the first affected people wasn't in situation ready to take psychosocial support, because they were trying to just survive, to find somewhere to stay and to find water, food. But there was many aid workers traumatized, secondary traumatization got from their works, and we tried to support them for secondary traumatization. We planned many staff care program, and we tried to support that health workers and aid workers on the field, and we are going on to do that. For example, we have a program. Every day we are going to organizations and doing staff care a group session with workers. Of course, our target group, the schools, families, and students in shelter schools. And we are trying to support them. We are doing individual interviews in containers because we send the containers by 2-room, and we can do individual interviews in that containers. And we are doing group work. Mainly, we are doing psychoeducation sessions as group work. We are collecting, bringing many people together in a room or in a shelter, people affected from earthquake, and trying to give some information about trauma and the effect of trauma, like that, and psychosocial activities according to age groups. We are trying to do a training, capacity building in the region, and we are giving orientation and supporting a training to our volunteers and workers. That's our methods which we are using. I can show some pictures from the field. That is our orientation training. We did the first step last week, and we are planning to continue with that trainings. That picture is a school, shelter school, in Hatay, Samanda. So that is our team, and giving psychoeducation to students from the school, and trying to give information about effect of trauma long term, to prepare and to try to cope with that traumatic event, with earthquake, effect of earthquake. That is open air staff care session. We cannot find on the field big spaces to do like that work. So that's open air and staff care sessions. That's our caravan. Still in Hatay now, and moving, taking our volunteers and visiting villages to do individual interview and psychoeducation groups as well. And that's our shelter. We are using that shelter for group psychoeducation sessions, and we are that shelter in Shelter City in Hatay. Many people staying in shelter, and we are giving information. We are doing that sessions, and many people coming. They are wondering about that psychosocial support works, and we are coming together in that shelter and trying to give information about effect of trauma. That is our nice group. Every week we are changing the group. So in rotation system, every week we are sending 8 or 9 volunteers, and after 1 week they are coming back to Istanbul. Then we are sending the new group, and we did for next 2 months a rotation system, and we prepared our workers and volunteers as well. That's another picture from Shelter City and our containers. Of course, the need is a lot. There is many people, more than thousands of people affected by earthquake, and they need for psychosocial and other supports as well. But as you know, all that works, all that projects depends on resources. And unfortunately, that resources not coming from big authorities, from many people coming. So we can be strong when we come together, when we support each other, and when we collaborate with each other. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. And yes, we can be strong if we are together. This is very important message, and thank you very much for this nice presentation. And actually, I can see a lot of effort there, and the people working very hard and also smiling. And even in this tough time, they give the hope for the people, and they try to help them. Thank you, Ersen. And now we need to know more from Oya about the Turkish Mosaic Foundation and how to support, in this disaster.
Hi again. I'm very impressed and thankful for both the presentations and the work that you've been doing. So at first, I have to say that before I start my own presentation, because efforts like yours actually make us here work with more motivation in London to fundraise for the causes. I first wanted to tell a bit about Turkey Mosaic Foundation as a background, and then our work around the earthquake emergency relief campaign. So Turkey Mosaic Foundation, we set up 8 founding members as a UK registered charity in October 2017. We work in a charity of charity structure similar to the fund of fund structure in the finance world. Maybe there are some people from the finance industry among us now. So now Turkey Mosaic Foundation is a UK registered grant giving charity, and our mission is to empower local civil society organizations to Turkey. And we would also like to increase the participation and social welfare of vulnerable groups in the Turkish society. And our primary role we see as a bridge between donors here in the UK and the civil society in Turkey. And until January 2023, we had raised £800,000 through our fundraising efforts and funded over 80 CSOs. The way we work is through thematic funds. Our themes are according to the areas that we want to have impact in. So we have children's funds, gender equality fund, cultures and arts, environmental sustainability, and of course, emergency relief whenever an emergency strikes. And we also have an institutional fund, which is actually our flagship fund, where we empower the civil society organizations and their organizational capacities, actually. We very much believe in the importance of working with local intermediary partners. In our case, our main partner is Istanbul-based Support Foundation for Civil Society, and Support Foundation is our main partner because they have the ability to support international donors, and they help us reach the smallest grassroots organizations working on the ground all over across Turkey. And as I said before, we're a group living in London. We've all been here for more than 20 years. And for this work, we're trying to keep our network in Turkey very much up to date and live. So every year, with the exception of the lockdown years, of course, in the last 5 years, we have done study trips in Turkey to meet with the existing and potential grantees. We met with thought leaders in the areas that we work in, and wherever possible, we team up with other organizations. And because the reason we partner up with other organizations is because we want to increase the effectiveness and the efficiency of our grant-making process. And some of our previous partners for the Arts and Culture Fund, we partnered up with İKSV, the Istanbul Culture and Arts Foundation, and with British Council, and also with the EBRD. Just to go over our grant-making philosophy a little bit, our philosophy revolves around understanding the current situation and the needs of the field first. So as I said before, for this, we get together with professionals, we get together with key thought leaders, academics, and other actors working actively in the field. And we believe the coordinated effort with all the actors in the field is very important, because we want to make sure to pinpoint the areas that we can bring the most added value. Once we know what the field looks like and how it's updated over the years, we then define our open calls for project proposals. We work on a need basis calls. We only provide grants to nonprofit organizations, so never any for-profit organizations or initiatives without an entity, a registered entity. We do a super detailed and very thorough due diligence process. And for this, we get help from our local partner, the Support Foundation for Civil Society in Istanbul. And to maximize our added value, we're always after scalable, replicable, and sustainable value-adding initiatives. We want to try to find initiatives and projects that focus on the root causes of the problems so that we can help create systemic change in the problems. And also we want to empower the civil society organizations for the long term and make sure that they're there even without our help in the future. Of course, underpinning all of our efforts is the emphasis that we have on transparency and accountability of everything that we do. So coming to today, everybody talked about the earthquake, so I'm not going to go over that. Huge magnitude, lots of people lost their lives, 2 million have been displaced, 15 million people were affected in 11 provinces. This is a huge area. I know a lot of people that I meet here in London have never been in an earthquake or another natural disasters. I'm from Izmir myself, so I have been in many earthquakes while I was growing up there. This one was exceptional, though. This one was, already said to be one of the worst natural disasters of the century worldwide. I just put here 2 pictures to show the huge canyons that just showed up in this olive grove. For instance, this is becoming a very famous picture on social media. And I think this picture is from the Adıyaman region, and the olive grove one is from the Hatay region. So a major destruction with this much movement on the ground. So our goal here is to help the local civil society organizations in their efforts in rebuilding the region in the aftermath, of course. And as I said before, our grants for these organizations, we follow a needs-based approach. And all through the 5 years since our setup, we've met a lot of local civil society organizations, and we're so grateful for the opportunity for knowing them. And we have the privilege of open communication channels. So what happened on February 6th here in London, as Turkey Mosaic Foundation, we woke up to the horrible news, but thanks to our previous experience with the Izmir and Elazığ earthquakes, and also the connections that I just said with the local civil society organizations, we were able to launch our fundraising campaign within a couple of hours. We immediately started talks with grantees and almost immediately provided support for search and rescue operations, and also the much needed basic needs such as temporary shelter, and also making sure the survivors survived. What happened was this timely response, and of course our previous track record from other earthquakes, and also our other work in the field, attracted a lot of support from our wider community here in London and also internationally. The next day, we were hosted on BBC News. And as I speak to you today, we have raised over £2.8 million from over 17,000 donors in the UK and around the world. We're extremely grateful for this tremendous support, actually. And our whole community has engaged in their own circles, in schools, their workplaces. We had a QR campaign. Lots of QR codes were distributed in cafes all over London, shops, hairdressers, also major corporations started calling up and, you know, trying to support our relief efforts and employee matching programs. So it was mind-blowing, actually, after our first 5 years. So the way we look at emergency relief, of course, like everybody else, there's the short-term needs, the medium and long-term needs. Short-term is obviously focused on search and rescue, immediate care to the survivors, and basic needs for shelter and daily living. But after about 10 days, of course, our hopes start to diminish, and we turned our focus to medium and long term, which now includes, unfortunately, after 50 days, there's still an immense need for shelter and continued basic needs, but there's now also need for access to healthcare, access to education, and gaining back livelihoods, with all of this, with a special focus on vulnerable groups like the elderly, like the disabled, women, youth, children, and refugees. And then there's the environmental issues. Not everybody is talking about this, but we're very much aware of all of the asbestos on the ground and the dumping sites. So we're very much following that. And all of these efforts, we're very aware of the psychosocial support needed. The overarching theme in all of the help that we're looking at needs to be the psychosocial support. So what have we done so far? We have so far provided 36 grants with just under £650,000. Our grants have been up to date in 2 categories. First, we had direct grants the first day to organizations that we had worked with before and organizations which have relatively higher capacity. And after that, we had subsequent direct grants to Food Rescue Association, the Turkey Psychologists Association, Ahbap Derneği, and the group that you see there. And then we had a small grants program. We received 400 applications from very little organizations who work in remote villages. So we were able to support 26 organizations. And then here are some pictures from the supports projects. The topics, the content included rescue support, food, clean water, mobile toilets, shelter to medical teams, shelter for families, hygiene kits, including women's period kits, play areas for children, psychosocial support for everybody, and animal shelters. This is just a few of the 26. And we're now in the process of selecting a further 15 organizations with around 1.5 million to support for local development program. This is for the medium term. Unfortunately, as I said before, the content of these projects still includes shelter and basic needs provision. It's almost 2 months and there's still need for water in some areas. And other initiatives we're looking to support are for education, for healthcare provision, lives of already vulnerable groups gaining back their livelihoods, issues faced by survivors who have relocated to other cities, and of course, the host populations and their capacity to absorb the incoming populations. As we try to meet the needs of the CSOs, the civil society organizations, we are cognizant of many layers of different themes and intersectionalities, and we take all of that into consideration. So these are especially important in this geography with such a multi-ethnic and culturally diverse population. And we would like to help the civil society organizations rebuild the livelihoods, but also at the same time respect the cultural heritage and the soul and the spirit of these communities. Going forward, as I said before, we'll be prioritizing these projects, which will bring a systemic change and initiatives which will focus on the root cause of the problems and bring sustainable, scalable solutions, which are also replicable. An example to these are, let's say, instead of feeding the poor, instead of buying and distributing food, we can help civil society organizations set up mobile food banks. This is a project that we've done before. And also for Elazığ earthquake, we helped Basic Needs Association set up a mobile food bank with all the hygiene principles, all the operating procedures in place, and people employed. So, and then those mobile food banks were diverted to this area now. So you can see the sustainable and long-term solutions to only, as opposed to just feeding and so trying to solve poverty. We're also very much aware of the need for integration and long-term solutions in the cities where the population has been transferred to, along with the environmental costs of the damage. And finally, going forward, we think there is a need for a multi-layered and very strategic and rights-based approach. And the approach needs to be, we believe, over different timelines and different thematic areas as well. And also, we're very much looking for intersectional projects, say projects which are taking into consideration mothers and children and helping children get educated and get psychosocial support next to the mums, because we hear children after such a trauma don't want to leave their mom's side. And then we had lots of projects submitted for our latest call, working in areas in such an intersectional manner. And also we recognize that no one institution, whether public or private or civil society, has the capacity to help everything. We think the most important projects going forward are going to be the multi-stakeholder partnerships, and maybe some of the project managers maybe listening to us today may be inspired to cooperate with civil society organizations, because civil society organizations can bring huge insight on social issues to a for-profit organization. And that's why we believe business and world of philanthropy should connect going forward. The recovery will take years.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I think one of our main jobs here in London is to make sure this stays very much on the agenda in the coming years.
Okay, thank you very much, Oya, for this wonderful and very informative presentation. And you do a great job to support the charities. And I hope that's all our friends today also will contact you after this session to see how can we cooperate together. Now we can go to the last panelist for today. Mr. Psychosocial Support, and he will give us an idea about the Young Lives Foundation. I know that you have a very short time, so there is no need for presentation, just you can talk about Lives Foundation.
Yes. Thanks, Mohammed. So, in order to explain what we have been doing as a earthquake response, I will first need to go back to what we had been doing until the 5th of February, very briefly. So, as I explained in the beginning, we are a foundation founded in 2008 with the aim of supporting children and adolescents, because we believe this age group, particular age group, is a vulnerability itself. So all of us, each one of us, when we were at this age, I mean, through this process, the adolescents, we have had our own challenges, regardless of our backgrounds, economic situation, and so on. So we try to include all individuals within this group with this holistic approach, as I explained before. And but of course, there are those who face more particular challenges in life, like for example, those who are forcibly relocated, subjected to child labor, early age, forced marriages, who don't have access to equal educational opportunities, and so on. So we tailor our projects based on these specific target groups. And as an example, we are implementing projects in the prevention of child labor. This is the reason why I mentioned this is that in the harvest season we work in temporary settlements in tent areas. We work with thousands of children every year. We help them with educational activities, with PSS activities, psychosocial activities. We provide them nutritional support regularly. We support them with transportation to the educational activities. We support their families with food and non-food items, and we are trying to improve their living conditions, which we have in the current situation. So this is what we had experienced from this area, and our teams are mostly coming from the actually affected regions from Adıyaman, Hatay, Diyarbakır, Urfa, Malatya. So on the and at the time of the earthquake, when it happened, actually our team staff members were there. So in the first instance, we tried to make sure of their safety, and then we made our planning for the action. And immediately on the first day, actually, we also sent a team from here in Istanbul to Hatay and moved another team to Adıyaman, and we started acting immediately, of course, in line with the UN's guidelines or the approach. First, you need to take action with the emergency relief, because if you don't provide the basic needs in the beginning, it doesn't make any sense to provide any psychosocial support. Of course, there is a time that that this comes as a big urgence, but in the beginning, in order to make that realistic, you need to provide people with the basic needs. I mean, that's a survival process in the beginning. So we started distributing foods and clothes and different items. And in time, we have also diverged our activity. I mean, transformed our activities back to our expertise, working with children, adolescents, doing educational activities, PSS activities, but also supporting them and their families with the basic needs. But here, for example, Oya Hanım has said, like, we are still talking about shelter and basic needs, and actually that's a problem that we are facing with the children, because most of them had their computers, laptops, tablets, mobile phones, which those were the educational tools they used. Those were the socialization tools, communication tools, leisure. So for all these aspects, they have also lost this, and it's not even in the list yet, because we are still talking about some basic needs. If we can provide them some space where they can come together to get some educational activities, but those children and those adolescents, they're away from those items, and which has a big impact, as we have observed, because unlike children, the adolescents are living the situation, experiencing the situation a bit different than others. For example, there is what we witnessed quite often in the affected region, that children are playing earthquake games. They are vibrating each other's chairs and beds and saying, now I'm going to make a magnitude 5.7, now I'm going to make a magnitude 6.4. So that's a game for the children. But for the adolescents, we observe that they're more silent. They are living this. They are experiencing different than their than other individuals, and they have the great anxiety of their future, because They have lost, of course, loved ones, economically damaged, and their neighborhood living environment is damaged or mostly gone. But also they had concerns already about their future. They were preparing for the exams. They were preparing for life. They had their expectations about their future, but now it's a bit dark for them. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to bring this light back for these young people, because what we had been trying to do was also with this marginalized groups, for example, try to increase their social inclusion, try to increase their employability, basic skills, 21st century skills, and merging all of these actions together. So that's what we are trying to do back in this earthquake response. So in addition to our we have also started with our PSS activities, psychosocial support activities, but trying to provide merge it with protection activities, educational activities, so that these children somehow try to get back on the track, try to have the sense that they can get in I don't want to say competition, but like in the same level with their peers, because that's a concern they have right now. Of course, all provinces have different backgrounds, have their own circumstances, and the temporary settlements have their own challenges. But we see that things are getting now, and the dust is getting more settled. The things are getting a bit more organized the day after day. We are working closely with the state institutions, with the Ministry of Family of Social Services, National Education, Labor and Social Security, and other institutions, and also with other stakeholders, our other NGOs, in close cooperation with the UN institutions, which is a great coordination process right now going on in all provinces with different sectors. And as Oya Hanım has mentioned, like this is a multi-sectoral intervention. Like you cannot provide one sector response and not leave the other one, because if you are providing a support for a child, you need to provide support his or her well-being, so that protection needs to be there. So we are coming with all these approaches. Of course, that requires a lot of resources, and we have established 2 bases right now already, one in Adıyaman and one in Hatay. Actually, it's very much like how Gökhan Hoca has shown in the map, in the sketch, and we are planning to provide some psychosocial support activities and educational activities for children, but also supporting the women, because, for example, something that we witness is that women, especially young girls, they need some safe space, they need some privacy, they need some personal care, and so on. And based on our experience from the past, we know that in the initial phase, the support is coming more intensively, but in time it fades away, and the sustainability of the actions is has the utmost importance. So we plan all our actions with a 2-3 year planning in all affected regions. And here, one last thing that I need to mention is that after the COVID, we have seen a lot of dropouts from the school. So that's a long break for children from the schools, and now there's another break for many of them. And even those who have access to education, of course, the standards are not the same as before. So in such cases, we have usually witnessed increase in the child labor for forced early age marriages. So we are, based on our experience and in cooperation with other stakeholders, we are trying to implement actions to prevent such risks and challenges for children, because it's based on our findings from the preliminary findings from the field, it's already happening. So we, as you mentioned before, we need to act together. We need to provide a strong response to this, because there will be challenges, further challenges in the upcoming time, in the upcoming years.
Sure. Yes. Thank you very much. And actually, I don't know how the time up so fast, and because of this interesting talk and presentations, then we plan to have questions and answers at the end, but I think the time is up. So what we'll do is we will collect all the questions from the attendees, and we will respond to all this question in the recording. So what we'll do is we recorded the session, and then we collect all these questions and put it in the recording. By this, I would like to thank you very much. Thanks for the panelists for this great work and idea and thoughts. Thank you very much for your really, I appreciate your effort, and everyone should do this. And I would like to thank all the attendees from overall the world. Thank you very much. And now you can enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.